try to.
I've done microphone work before.
Have you? Yeah. Where at?
Disneyland.
What the hell?
You were a princess?
I was not a princess, but I did get
to touch one.
To perform to touch one.
Disney.
True, just not from Disney. I performed there. I can sing like a Disney princess, so I do like the voiceovers and then we perform on the stages.
You can
I
do
will not
voices?
be doing it now. I will not
Look,
be doing
hey,
no,
not
you can't
voices, voiceovers for the like to sing. Like
you can actually sing. What song?
We're not gonna keep this. I want to hear it.
Yeah.
I've done Jasmine and I've done
A Whole New World?
Ariel.
Give me some Jasmine.
I'd have to have it on, and I have not warmed up.
I
so
can
let's
show you.
Hey, look, we're gonna fuck around with some Jasmine real quick.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna put this right here. Then
I see you talking over the mic. Don't be doing that shit.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Mic work, girl.
What is it? What can I type in? A Whole New World?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it has to be the actual.
It's gonna be just straight porn.
Jasmine.
I will not be showing anybody that world.
Oh, Jasmine. Jasmine only.
Yeah.
There we go.
No, not Jasmine.
Jasmine only.
We want the real one.
All right, A Whole New World, Jasmine.
Shit.
Whole New World,
Disney.
Disney.
I should stand up this like. Okay.
Can I just?
don't
It's
know.
probably easier on
more.
Spotify, right?
I would assume it'd be easier on YouTube.
I never know those words. Endless something.
Shining, shimmering, splendid.
Here we
Tell me,
go.
Princess Snow, when did you last let your heart decide?
Shit.
But the man's voice has to go. He has to go first, so I can hear my.
Oh, I
keys and
can't. I
stuff.
can't sing shit.
No, I meant like I have to hear him. Can you play it in the mic?
Yeah, hold on 1 second.
This is not going to go on it, right?
No, this is good.
No, this is playtime. Now we're set up. Now we're good.
Is it? Are they lying? They're
Depending on
lying.
how you do, we'll judge. Depending on how you do.
Well, I'm not even warm. I don't even have water. There's no. Okay.
Is this it?
That's it. Yeah. But it's his part first.
Jasmine. A magic carpet ride.
But it's his part first. I don't want to do this now.
Come on.
Well, it's not yet.
Come on, you want to be famous?
Come on.
Come on. TikTok this.
Oh, we need to. We'll close our eyes.
I didn't even warm up.
La la la. Hey. Fa la 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 la.
John, you said the man part.
Go.
Make her feel
I
comfortable.
can't sing this. There's probably some lyrics on here.
Hold on.
I need the lyrics.
A whole new world.
So good.
A
So good.
fantastic point of view. No one to tell us no, or where to go, or say we're only dreaming.
A whole new world.
Oh, shit.
A dazzling place
No way.
I never knew. But when I'm way up here, it's crystal clear
No way.
that now I'm in a whole new world. I need a warm.
Dude.
If I,
Okay.
You need to hit that one.
Indescribable feeling, soaring, tumbling, revealing through an endless diamond sky, a whole new world.
don't you dare close your eyes.
Is that
Damn.
good for now?
Yes, we're impressed.
I should have done the
I
water.
wanna keep going.
could've- well,
Can
that's
you
how
do
I feel about
Frozen
fitness.
stuff? That's like too much, right?
No, I probably could build a
That's-
snowman.
Not that one. You know that.
I don't know.
You want me to do Let It Go?
Yeah.
I'd have to
Could
get
you?
some water, but probably.
We don't have
Want some
water.
tea? So hold on. When did
I'm
you figure
green
out
friendly.
that you could do voices, like sing voices?
So when I was 12, I was watching Oprah, and there was a lady that kept making noises in the background, and she said, "Who's doing that?" or whatever, and she was like doing this baby cry, and so they found her. I was like, "Oh, I can totally do that." The difference is that some billionaire dude got a hold of Oprah's whatever, and then like ended up marrying that girl. Like he was like so taken back by her, and I was like, "I can do. Where's my billion?"
So
Like
that's
that was
when
my
you got,
thought. But the baby cry, and that one I can do. Hold on.
Are you fucking
And so-
kidding me?
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Hey, can you do the scary hello, the little the clown? What is it?
I don't watch scary movie. It maybe?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
no,
can you
I've
do
never
that?
seen it. I've just never seen
Oh my
it.
god!
I bet you can
But-
do anything though,
So
right?
almost. So this is what it comes down to. It's like Asperger's thing for me that I have. I do have Asperger's syndrome, but I'm saying that like the longer I hang out with people, the more I can imitate them. So I can like run exactly like Kenny. I have like, well, I don't know how many people we have in common that we know. I can do a Chris Rogloski, but you're going to have to let it just come out naturally.
I gotta hear.
I'll make sure that I'll do it sometime.
And
before
Kenny
we're done.
too. You talk like
well,
Kenny?
Kenny I can do is run. And then like have you met his
does
mom?
Run kind of funny, doesn't he?
Have you ever met his mom though?
No.
Okay, so
yeah,
Mary
I met her. Yeah,
is
I
like
met her.
my favorite, and she's probably my favorite one because like one day I didn't know. So there's like a toaster, right? And the toast got stuck in it, and I was like, oh well, let me get like a plastic knife to get it out. And they're like, just unplug it. And I was like, no, it's hot. And they're like, but it's not hooked up to electricity. Like essentially, I sounded stupid, right? And she's like, Kayla, how can someone so smart be so stupid?
Oh my God.
And it's her voice exact. She's going to kill me for telling you guys that story, by the way. But so after I hang out with people long enough, I can essentially adopt their mannerisms, and most of the time with voices too.
I thought Asperger's was... Yeah, explain, because I thought Asperger's was something else.
So no, Asperger's, I'm just saying it's part of my Aspie trait. So Asperger's syndrome is on the spectrum of autism. A lot of people hear that for a woman and think like, well, I know a guy with Asperger's and he's not like that at all. And it's because it's very different. Like guys can't hold eye contact. They have a lot more stims, which is like the flailing of arms or flapping or finger. Like mine is this one. You know what I mean?
What does that do?
It's called stimming.
This do
is
it?
like, it's just like, I'll do it like anytime that I'm like trying to think of something or if something makes me happy or like whatever. I have like my little ones. For women, it's different though, because women with Asperger's are maskers. So essentially we learn how to people from other people. And so like building your own identity is incredibly difficult for somebody that has that. Mix that with your upbringing, any traumas or anything like that. And it can be like this really wild experience. Plus women are diagnosed a lot less than women and a lot later in life. But when I found out that so essentially, like I said, I learned how to people by other people and never really uncovered my own identity until I went to like work on that, like specifically, and work hard on that and do the books and start like piecing together who I was outside of those things. But beyond that, it was simply just like imitation of just like whatever you saw on how to be a human. So it made me outwardly outgoing. So essentially like could get along, like could go in any group with anybody. I was like misdiagnosed along the way. And then once we found it and I started working on like my tools that with my therapist and stuff like that, it like completely changed how I interacted with people and essentially how I interacted with myself, which was the biggest key for me. So
what was the big change though? Like once you started using your tools, what were you not doing?
So socially, I just a little bit like there was no closeness. Like I could get along with everybody. I could, well, that's not true, but I could like, I didn't mean it like that, but I could like, so in social settings, I could be a leader. I could do just fine socially, go to do business, do work and everything, but you're actually a very introverted person. So this outgoing part of my personality mixed with introversion and trying to find the balance in between the two. Well, once I found out you have Aspergers syndrome and started reading about it and everything like that and realizing like there's actually nothing wrong with me. This is how my mind is set up and it's actually okay if I'm not for everybody. And it took a little bit of that self-worth and made it rise. It actually wasn't, and I'm not trying to like jump, but it wasn't until day 30 something of 75 hard that I actually got like my last puzzle piece of the self-worth puzzle where I am now to like put it together. But what it did essentially, like the biggest change for me was that it allowed me to go through my life and interact with other humans on a level that felt comfortable for me, rather than me always interacting and trying to make sure that the other person's comfortable or just those kind of social awarenesses. Instead, it was more like I could actually go anywhere and be okay. Like what's the quote? Like I used to go into rooms and wonder if anybody was going to like me. Now I go into rooms and wonder if I'm going to like anybody. And now that people aren't likable, I just gave myself the permission to not have to get along with everybody, to not have to be this extroverted, outgoing, what people have known me as. Now, the people that know me as that person are going to be like, well, that's just so you. And I'm not discounting who I was when people knew me, but since that tremendous growth, I've definitely, like, I can go to sleep at night and go to sleep. Like I actually worked really hard to become somebody that I like. And that was a big change for me. So I went from being somebody that didn't for like 20 years plus, just tried on every hat I could. From when when you're a kid and you're raised, you don't get a say in how that goes. So you're, how you're raised, different titles that society and stuff put on you. Woman, daughter, wife, mom, I'm neither of those things, but I'm saying like the titles that society puts on you, we feel the need to play these characters. And as we start to go into agreement, so I am a daughter, then that means something to my identity. That's why we ask when we meet people, we don't say like, what makes you come alive? We say, well, what do you do? Because we're so identity focused in different directions. So when I essentially like wiped that clean and put everything that I said I've ever believed under the microscope and kind of developed what I actually believe. If you want to know what though, the truth is I was 28 years old and I was watching a documentary and there was a Jim Carrey quote. And it's actually the quote that started, I hadn't even picked up a different book outside of a religious book until I was 28 years old, really. And that one quote was like, that's it. That's it. I gotta figure out who I am. I gotta make this. Like I can't not do it,
And what was that? There was the one like
the quote?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
So he says, when you create yourself to make it, and by that I mean, and this isn't part of the quote, but the creation is that those identities that you decide to agree to, the agreements that you decide to agree to, like, how your parents want you to behave, how the church wants you to behave. That was a big one for me growing up, different things. So he says, when you create yourself to make it, you're either going to have to let that creation go, that character that you play, right? You're either going to have to let that creation go and take a chance on being loved or hated for who you really are. And then this is the part that got me. He says, or you're going to have to kill who you really are and fall into your grave grasping onto a character that you never were. And I sat up in my chair, and that was the first time that I thought to myself, oh, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out who I am. And even if this is not like a sad thing, I'm not trying to be like, oh, no one's going to love me, I'm never going to get married. I don't care. It's literally that I want it, when the day that it comes and I go to my grave, even if I'm the only person that actually loves me, that was still one more person than I was just when I was being the character Kayla rather than myself. And so, yeah.
Oh, hey. This podcast episode is brought to you by BCN Supplements. BCN Supplements is a Texas-based company that produces and manufactures everything right here in the great United States of America. The good thing is BCN caters to every single person on the fitness spectrum, whether you're a seasoned hybrid athlete, kind of like myself, or you're a newbie just now starting to pay attention to your health, kind of like Mike. BCN has what you need to make a healthy choice. Lately, I've been using BCN's pre-workout mix, and to be honest, I'm not really a pre-workout guy because I don't like the way most on the market make you feel. The crash and that tingly feeling, but you don't get any of that junk with BCN's pre-workout mix. I've noticed I had more focus during my lifts and more energy to carry through my longer workouts, and that pump you get is it's amazing. Drop what you're doing right now and go to bcnsubs.com to place your order today on this pre-workout mix. They got vitamins and they got collagen, and be sure to use promo code CWJM to receive 10% off your next purchase. BCN Supplements, helping build a better you from the inside out. When you went through these exercises, did you write this stuff down? Like, did you write on a notepad, like, this is where I am right now, this is what I want to be?
So I have every journal that I've ever written in since the 8th grade. And so that's a big deal for me. I keep everything that I've ever, but yeah, so like keeping track of growth has always been important to me. Whether it was subconscious at the time and now it's a conscious effort that I make, but yeah, I've kept all of them. So I've written it all out.
Do you write every day?
Yeah, something every single day for sure. And by that, I mean, it can be, I heard a quote and I want to make sure I remember it for later, or actually sit down and write. For a while there, especially on 75 Hard, you have to read 10 pages a day, and so writing just naturally went with it. Plus, I mean, I work with Kenny. All we do is encourage each other. Write that down, film that, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's constant, the growth. He definitely has a growth mindset. Have either of you ever taken your mindset assessments to see what kind of mindset you have?
I've taken similar things through work. Okay. Is it like the red?
So like personality ones usually. So a mindset's going to let you know if you have like a fixed mindset, a growth mindset, etc. There's like an emotional intelligence assessment that I send out when I do, because I do the mindset coaching. I got the certification for it.
Oh, damn.
And so we do that at Grit. I do some of the mindset coachings with some of the clients, and that's two of the assessments that we set out first, is to make sure you understand if you have a growth one or a fixed one. And ideally, I'm sure you can figure it out though. Like a fixed mindset is, I need them to like me. I need this, blah, 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 blah. And a growth mindset is question asking, like very much the curiosity that y'all have that shows that you probably have a growth mindset. So
Probably in the middle, I think.
That's funny because Chris was talking mindset when she was last time.
Yeah.
Kenny's like a man.
Chris was my very first ever mindset walk that I took.
Really?
So like,
Well,
she was my very first person.
You touched her because she came in with a different attitude than the last time we interviewed her.
Isn't she great?
Totally different.
She's
person.
great.
We met. I'm gonna be honest. So don't hate me, Chris.
Your voice. Come
when
on.
we
Yeah.
oh my God,
It turns into Chris.
when we first met, we didn't particularly flow together. We were very curious of each other, I guess you should say. And then like she hates that I do TikTok, like hates it. Like this girl will tell you TikTok is like the worst thing ever. And I kept being like, well, I'm still going to do it. I see merit in it. I make money off of it. You can't, if whatever, what do you make money off of? I'm not making fun of you for running all the time, So essentially we like ended up, she had said something to me. We were talking, like there's a group of people we were talking, and then I was like, well, maybe you should go on a mindset walk. And she's like, okay, like trying to throw it back at me. And I was like, okay, when? She's like, 3 a.m. tomorrow morning. And I was like, and then we went, and it was actually really good. And then, like I said, we ended up becoming friends. I might have said that earlier, but, and she's genuinely one of the coolest people I know. People think that they know her from her talents, but I can honestly tell you her talent abilities are the least interesting thing about her when you actually get to know her. So
she has some walls you have to get through.
Yeah.
I think we've seen that a little bit, but I think she opened up a lot on our last interview, which is good. Obviously, you influenced her, and I think that's good. Her taking those tools to Colorado too.
Totally. I can't wait to see I cannot wait to see what she does with that. I literally cannot. Like I'm excited for her. So I was sad to see her go.
Yeah. She's such an amazing person. I told her that she's bigger than Missouri County.
Oh yeah.
And she didn't like that. She's like, well, no one's too big for this. But I genuinely mean that. She doesn't.
But that's what's magical about her is, first of all, how do you get to be that pretty, that talented, that smart, like all of the things that she is, and then you nailed it. Like she's also incredibly humble. I know that like she's funny and she's sassy and she has all of these personality aspects to her as well. But at the end of the day, like it's the most caring heart. Like she really is a good human. She's one of the good ones.
There's like particular people that when you're around, you come away from them feeling clean. Like Mike's one of those people that if I'm around him and I leave, I feel kind of clean washed. Yeah. There's people where you're like, oh, fuck, I don't want to be around that person.
So their
again.
energy.
Yeah. And I don't know what it is. It's not tangible. You can't really speak to it, but you feel dirty when you're around that person.
So our energy is actually a really important thing to be aware of. And so like before I got out of the car today, like I have a little talk with myself that's like, hey, like regardless of how this goes though, like you want to have like a positivity towards you so that there's like, at least it's a positive experience, like always setting up, and your energy will always introduce you to a room. It always introduces you before anything else, before your words, before anything like that. And so like you said keeping it clean. You can say clean, pure, bright, any of those things. It's actually very important how you monitor your energy. Yeah. So
I think it's interesting you talk about energies and all this, and you were telling me before we started talking that you were super religious for like ultra religious. So I was kind of curious how that road has been for you. And
so I was born and raised into a typical small town, strict Christian family, very small community, church like 5 times a week, Awana's leader, Bible school, was youth leader, child's pastor, all of those things, like did the whole 9 yards, went on the missions. It was my whole entire life. When I was 23, I actually ended up leaving the church and then the faith. The church publicly, the faith was kind of like, in my mind, I was like trying to figure it out. So from like 23 to 26 was a period of like reading my Bible intently, trying to figure out what I really thought, trying to figure out where I fell in line. Around 26 is when I was like, I don't think I believe any of this. Like, I don't think this is for me. You know what I mean? But I didn't admit to myself that I was an atheist until I was 28 and y'all raised religiously or in religion, I can't remember. Yeah. Saying like, you know what I'm saying? Okay. Yeah. So, cause like once you turn your back, like ultimately, like that's it.
Yeah.
you're gone, you're done. And so I was like, okay, so if I admit this out loud, like that's essentially saying I'm walking away from this. Like that's it. Like it's your unspoken, like it's done. And I did. And so then it's just been a big difference of reality grasping for me and how I view the world. It sounds weird for people to hear me say that I think I became a better person when I became an atheist, or when I guess left religion or anything like that. Not to say that I think that religious people are bad. I don't have any problem with the humans themselves, even though I do study and want to go finish school to become a researcher for RTS, which is religious trauma syndrome, which is what I went through and had to get through. So essentially when you experience trauma in the church, which is what I do have the big problem with, again, having a belief in a higher power, having a faith, having something that you believe in, you will not hear me put you down for that. Like you will not. But the actual trauma that can happen in religions, especially with like children and all of those kind of things, I'm coming for it. But and then it's ironic though that, and it's not lost on me, that the most accepted that I've ever been in my entire life, the most friends I've ever had, the most loved I've ever felt, is now at Grit with a big, huge group of Christians. Like that's not lost on me, that it's a whole field of Christians that are making me feel welcomed. So that's what I'm saying, that it's like to them, and I hate the you versus them, that's not how I'm saying it, but like to them, if that is what makes them, if their religion is what makes them show extraordinary kindness and curiosity and excitement and all of those things, I think that's beautiful for them. I really do. I really genuinely do. You can ask any person at Grit. I've never once told anybody, dude, why do you think that? Like, what are you talking about?
You're teaching it.
Never. I've never, never. I don't like promote quote unquote atheism. I just am myself. But I don't hide it either. And people have definitely come up and people have had a lot of questions for myself. Kenny got a lot of questions like, why is she working here? Like, a lot of stuff. But he's like, just same thing. Just get to know her. Just get to know her. Just get to know her. And so it worked out.
With atheism, it sounds so dark.
Yeah.
It's always sounds so dark. So could you put that in a different light for me?
Sure. So technically, if we go under, like Dawkins has like the 12 levels of like extremism for religion or whatever, and 12 would be atheism. Technically, anybody's going to be at the 11 who's on this side of it as agnostic. So atheism is that you are fairly certain that there is just no God, that there's no higher power like that. Agnosticism is just simply saying, I don't know, I can't prove it either way, which is technically what I would be. Technically, y'all would be too, because you can't prove it either way. It's just that we decide between theism and atheism. I'm on the side where I just don't believe that there is that type of higher power or the Bible. I don't believe in Satan. A lot of people will mix up atheism and Satanism, and I'm like, I don't believe in him either.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like the same type of word.
And so darkness, let me just explain it like this. And again, this is my personal experience. This has nothing to do with other people's religious experiences. When I was a Christian, I could do anything. Didn't matter if it was bad or good, because at night I could just go home and lay my little head on the pillow and say, "Dear Lord Jesus, please forgive me." And I get to go to heaven. Now, these were subconscious thoughts. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize I was being a horrible human. And there were. Anybody that watches this podcast that knows me from pre-28 is going to be thinking, what are you doing? Like, that's not. So I'm saying, like, I would, I wasn't good. Like, there just wasn't, everything was about guilt and wrapped up in shame, and I was miserable and all of these things. And it wasn't until I left that and I realized, oh crap, like, there's no big guy upstairs to forgive me. If I screw you over, like, I'm just a bad person and I have to right that wrong. And there's nobody between just you and me. It's just between you and I. And I started recognizing how I was interacting with people and how I was treating people and how I was allowing other people to treat me. And so essentially, like, you have the three categories. You have morals, values, and ethics, right? And religions tend to be morals and values based. This is not me saying an opinion. This is like morals and values based. So where my moral compass might not be due north to y'all or to anybody else, my ethical compass is what was like the biggest one for me. So even studying ethics in school, it's actually what I have the most educational background in. That was the part that was big to me is this ethical? Is this ethical? Is this ethical? And as I started to live my life building towards an ethical human being, all of my behaviors changed. And I started being somebody that I liked. And I started looking in the mirror and being like, I don't hate that, or like different things, like different conversations that I would have with people that used to just get me so riled and so triggered. Now I'm like, I love that you think that for you. Like, does that work for you? Are you loving life? Like, are you getting the most out of it? And if they are, then who am I? Who am I to say you're not doing it right? You know what I mean? So
you're obviously in tune to your like internal moral compass, like you said.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I think religion's good for people that aren't in tune for that, as in tune, because they need someone to guide them and keep them in the rails, right? That's what I think that's what religion basically is, right? It's to help keep people like, this is bad, that is good. But do you feel like putting
religion, or do you mean faith? And I'm just wanting to make sure, because to me,
religion
is more of like the business aspect of it, and your faith is more your relationship with your Creator.
Probably faith
is how I'm saying.
Well, faith in the aspect of your relationship with your community. Is that would that be the same as faith?
Sure. Yeah.
You're talking about being a good person.
Yeah. Being a good. Being a good person.
So for me, though, like my pushback to that is, I've also only like raped and killed all of the people I've wanted to rape and kill, which is like 0.
Right.
So I don't need a moral boundary to not. I don't need a religious boundary to say, hey, don't kill people.
Yeah, but you don't.
That's where I was going with it. Right. So my point is that like, yes, if believing in God is going to keep you from killing people and all of that, then sure. Like, and again, it's a lot. The 86% of Christians that sign the terms and user agreement without ever reading the Bible, I believe in that part of the faith. Be a good person. Don't do bad. Don't kill. Don't steal. Don't do great. Those are all great messages. Believe with that. Endorse that completely. It's the extremist on either side. The extremist on the non-religious side, where people like that want to like go in and hurt Christians or hurt Muslims or hurt anybody. I'm just using specifically Christians for this area because that's the overwhelming majority. But the extremists on either side are what I find to be the issue. So
we grew up religious, but like not to the point where you were going to church more than you were probably at the house.
Correct.
So that had to have been so hard to go against the narrative. What was the turning point where you were like, I have to change? And at such a young age, and like I almost think you
like
probably
leaving, you mean?
Leaving the religion, but also I almost think you would be struck by lightning or something because you were adopted into it.
It is incredibly hard because it's like there's a book called Leaving the Fold that talks about when you leave what's the word that I'm looking for? Deconstruction from your faith. And like there's a quote in it that said like, all I knew was my name and that my favorite color was purple. Well, mine's yellow, but and you feel that way because when you leave everything you've ever known, you don't know anything else. So it's a state of confusion. Angry. I was angry at God because at first I didn't understand it. And I'm like, why would you make me this way if you were just going to have me be tormented the whole entire time inside my soul? Then your parents, because why didn't they know better? And eventually you come all the way full circle and realize, oh, well, this is just my experience. And however I live it doesn't really have to do with others, even though others have to do with your story. But it wasn't like one single thing that left it. Cause I get asked that question every single time. Well, what made you leave your faith? And I'm like, well, I read the Bible. That was a big one. There were just too many things that didn't add up to me. I remember being 12 years old and asking, like, if we're free to choose, like if we have free will, but we don't choose God, we have to like burn up in hell. Like, I don't really much of a choice. Like nobody's saying, I'll take that one. These are 12-year-old thoughts. You know what I mean? And as I aged, different thoughts, and then you'd start looking it up. And I also didn't really like how churches were being operated. I worked at a Christian camp when I was 17 years old and had an inappropriate relationship with the camp director who was 28. So I was underage, and that was so typical in the Christian community. And then when I was 21, I had a relationship with a pastor outside of marriage, and then he told the whole entire church, and I got fired. He got a 30-day suspension. We both had to like go to therapy, like work on everything. Then he started sleeping with my therapist's daughter. So.
Oh my God.
Golly. You hear that a lot.
Yeah. So I'm saying that like there were just things that I was like, okay, the church is a no. Like there's too many things that didn't add up for me. But mainly it was reading my Bible and things that didn't add up. And I don't necessarily like to voice them. I have no problem going over a few of them or whatever. I just can already hear the conversations that'll come from this to me.
Do you think being so immersed into religion at a young age kind of turned you, like made you want to believe that there's something else out there? Because I always say that girls that are raised in a strict household and kept away from boys, typically, like once they grow up, they turn out to be like some hoes, right? They get to college and they like. Hey.
I didn't wait for college. I didn't wait for college. But no, I started. That's exactly part. Like I definitely was like extremely promiscuous. Like started young because everything was so whole. It was like my bad thing, and I went through like a very. But I'm not ashamed by that. I think that that's a narrative that we need to be changing anyways. Like I said, I'm ethical. So as long as you can be promiscuous and ethical, and I could get into that, I won't, but,
I kind of want to know about that, but keep going.
So ethically, like if you're going to be somebody who is not just going to the bedroom with one person, obviously it would be like having talks with them before, testing regularly, usage of protection, all of those kind of things that are pretty important to me. Being ethical in that. But my point, though, back to yours, is I tried so hard, though. Like, everything about me believed it. I was so bought in. So I actually was the one that would, like, get a couch and go out to the main streets of my hometown, put a couch out and hold a sign that said, like, let's talk about God. Like, I mean, I was sold out. Mission trips, like I said, like, everything. So for me, it wasn't... I think that there might be something else out there. It was as I was finding out other things and putting them together with my intellect, it was actually more scary than anything, because walking away from faith was by far the hardest thing I've ever done. You give up everything. Not only do you give up everything you know about yourself, you give up that community of friends that's like that you grew up with. My family, like I said, walked away for a while. Like you when you're raised in it and you leave it, you literally get the choice. You literally get the chance in your life to stand on your own 2 feet, solely alone, all by yourself, in a very unique way that others don't get to experience unless you meet somebody that also is going through it. And you really can't understand it unless you are somebody who's going through. I mean, losing the person that you thought created you in your mind is a mind fuck. Like there's no other way around it. Like there's no way. The processing time that it took me from start to finish until I finally landed in a good, secure spot was about 6 years. And that's actually a lot faster than the typical. Like a deconstruction typically takes anywhere between 10 to 15 years for most people if you've been in the faith actively until the age of 20. So
a lot of people need that answer. Like they're here, they don't know what's next. They need the heaven, narrative and what you need to do to get there. Yeah. Like, how do you make life good without not knowing? I mean, we all really don't know.
If nothing's next, then what's the point?
What's next for you? Is it darkness or?
So I kind of am researching different ideas about what I think about that. I do know that energy cannot die and it can only transfer. So I know that when we die, our energy has to go somewhere. Do I believe that's reincarnation or that it goes into a tree? No. Yes. I don't know. I'm not sold on that one yet. I do personally believe that when you're dead, though, this time as this exact person is over, that there's no like soul that goes anywhere else, which means to me that I make each day count. So if these are the only days that I have, my heaven and hell is right here on earth. I can either go through it and make it miserable, or I can go through it and make it like the most joyous experience I've ever had in my entire life. Now, I only beat depression a year and a half ago. So I was clinically depressed for over 20 years of my life and then came out of it after that psilocybin trial. And once I've decided that I'm the creator of my own experiences, my life has gotten a lot more fun, a lot better. And people are like, well, fun's not the goal. And I'm like, well, are you not having any? Is that why? Like, because fun is fun. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't want it. Happiness is happiness. Like, if the whole goal is to be happy and I'm there, leave me alone. Like, what's wrong with how I found it? And I'm secure in it, so it's okay with me.
That was my next question. Yeah. So do you think the purpose of life is happiness?
So I don't know what the purpose of life is. Every single day that I see more wonderment and more, I'm I'm going to back it up though, and it's going to tie in with the religion thing. So when I took my first few philosophy classes, there's like 2 philosophical arguments in religion that I couldn't myself even figure out. And the first one though, like, is everything has a creator. So I know that there has to be some sort of intelligent designer of some point, because everything has a creator. Like you might have made this and whatever, but like everything has a creator. And for us to be so intricately detailed, there has to be some sort of higher intelligence. I just don't think that it's the Christian God or the Muslim God or any of those types of things. Wait, what was your direct question? I was gonna
happiness.
The purpose of life.
So my purpose to life. Okay, so for me, when I was leaning towards nihilism, where nothing means anything, I was like, I'm pretty nihilistic. Now I realized, for me, literally things only have value if I assign them to them. My grandma's necklace could go on the ground and it could be the most important thing to me in the world, but you pick it up and you can pawn it for $25. It's worth $25 to you, and it's worth no monetary value to me. It's in you know what I mean? It's more. So for me, it's about, what do I want my world to look like? What do I want my life to look like? And that's when the Asperger's things, I finally started to get into control of, I need to learn how to do better connection with people. Because what I have found is being seen and being heard and feeling like you're those 2 things typically is the birthplace for most inspiration and action for most people. So if we all were at our most inspired selves, our most connected selves, like, imagine what the world would look like if we had a bunch of people coming alive to their passion. So where it stands right now, in my little tiny understanding at 35 years old of the world, like, my point to it all is connection and positivity and energy exchange and helping people come alive. Once I came alive, there's nothing, I mean, it's the only thing that I'd ever want to do for people is make them get in touch with those parts of themselves where they genuinely feel seen and heard and understood. And so I think that your life is whatever you want it to, your purpose and point is whatever you want it to look like. Like, however you want your day to be, you manifest it, you make it happen. And then you also have to enjoy it when it's here. The 4 Agreements and the Power of Now. So Eckhart Tolle and Daniel McGill-Ruiz wrote those 2 books, and they probably were the first 2 that started me onto this change about being fully present. Now, that doesn't mean you don't worry about bills or plan for the future or any of those things, but it means, like, don't miss the enjoyment of this exact moment right now. And when I learned how to slow down enough to, like, feel the wind on my face, like a breeze on my face, but actually, like, take that in, or look at the plants and, like, actually, like, look at the trees when you go on a walk, like, things that sound super everyday, they're not if you look at them with different eyes. Like, and now transfer that to people. Now, don't get me wrong. There are still some people I just don't like. Just don't like them. That's fine. You're not for everybody. There's Myers-Briggs says there's like 16 different personality types, and there's 2 of them that, like, I just don't really care for. But that doesn't mean, number one, that I don't care for you as a human or anything like that. The overwhelming majority of what I want to spend my time doing, though, is making people feel seen and heard, and not because I get to be boastful for it, or like I get to be like, yeah, like blah, blah. But because to watch, have you ever had such a conversation with somebody that you watch the light go back on inside of them? Right now in this world, we just watch the light go out in people. But have you ever taken part in turning somebody's light back on? I can't help but think that can't be part of it. Like, that has to be part of it, like, at least for my world. But whatever gets you through the day is for you, you know?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, happiness or the meaning of life is different for everybody.
Yeah.
There's not like one definition for it.
Some people swear that you will never know what love is until you look into your own kid's eyes, or until you have, okay, well, then I don't get to know that love, and that's okay with me, but I get to know this love, and I get to have, you know, my best friend's kids. Dawn, she's my best friend. So Kenny's sister, Kenny's wife, Mandy's sister, is my best friend. That's how I got into this whole world of this place, is through Dawn. And her little kids, she just had her 3rd one, but originally Desmond and Maggie, like, they changed how I look at love. Desmond for sure, and he's not even mine. You know what I mean? Like, they changed how I love people. But so you don't need everybody else's experiences to be your experiences. You should learn from everybody's experiences and be curious and open to everybody's experiences, and then take what you like from that and build your own. but it shouldn't look like it for everybody. It's not designed that way, I don't think, for a reason, so that we can all have these interactions, you know?
Yeah. I definitely think like selflessness is like a constant that you can, whatever religion you have, like it brings the most fulfillment. Like you get cheap fulfillment here and there.
You and I are on opposite sides of that. By far, I think you should be as selfish as possible.
I was about to say, everyone is really 100%. Selfish, right?
Well, it gets such a negative. It gets such a negative
to be
attachment to it, when really you're never, ever, ever, not 1 second gonna live anybody's life but yours.
Yeah.
So
ever.
Here's how I kind of look at it.
Yeah.
Like, in order for me to be a better like father or husband, like I have to work out. Like I just I have to eat good or whatever. If I'm not
keeps you mentally strong.
If I'm not taking care of myself, there's no way I can take care of my family.
Yeah.
So like I have to be like, my circle is me first, and then my outer circle is my family, and then my work, and then
not only that, but look what you're showing your kids.
Yeah, they hate it.
Well, they hate it. They hate it now, but when they grow up and then they saw that you were able to be your own person and put yourself first, and that your wife was able to be supportive of that and all of that stuff, then they grow up and they learn to listen to their own voice.
Right.
Like they might hate it now because it might be taking a little bit of time away from them, but essentially what you're teaching them is, this is your life. Like, you get to be what you want it to be. And I really, when you get into like a relationship, people forget that you're half that relationship. You matter. Like, your relationship with yourself is still a relationship. That's never going to change. Now, it's easy for me to say as the single person out here, not navigating through, I'm very much unsuccessfully through relationships in life. Never had a successful one. So I'll stick with the single docket. But what I'm saying is that the selfless and selfishness they don't have to be complete opposites, because there's a difference between like cocky and confident. There's a selfishness that's going to be greedy. And then which I also don't have a problem with, as long as you're not, it depends on what your ethical agreements are. So most people are utilitarianists, or they believe in the divine command theory. So most people walk around through life with their ethical compass being something to the effect of, do the most amount of good for the most amount of people. And while that's excellent, I tend to go on the side of Kantianism, which is doing the right thing simply because it's the right thing, not because God told you to do it, not because somebody's going to recognize you, somebody's going to put you on the news, anything like that. It's simply doing the right thing just because it's the right thing to do. So,
yeah. I didn't mean like selflessness is the only thing, but selfishness, obviously the negative connotations to the majority of the meaning, but obviously take care of yourself
100%
and have you time, and getting your thoughts and stuff like that.
The only reason why I push back though is because there's so many things that we keep we keep tying negativity to certain things, and I'm just like want to challenge people so bad, and I'm like, okay, but what do you think about that? Not what you read on Facebook, not what your mom taught you, not what your best friend growing up. What do you think about that? Why is that negative? Why do we have to look at it under that lens? Like, the more you expand your mind and different ways to look at things, number one, the better off you're going to be with people, because the chances are you're going to meet somebody who thinks it that way at some point, and you're going to be able to relate to them and be like, okay, I can understand your way of thinking. I might not live that way. But it's like, have you heard of situational design? And by that, I mean like from the government. I'm not about to get into necessarily politics, but I'm saying that like back in the 50s through the 70s, there was a CIA experiment done on human people called MK Ultra. Okay. Where they did mass mind control over people, and they did like all of these horrible experiments to them, and they learned how to mind control. Take that, put that on the media. There's like, they're very, very smart. They gave us our like, quote of Americans, and then they mock us with it, with united we stand and divided we fall, and they've done nothing but continue to divide us and make us all hate each other, right versus left, the race card, your religion versus atheism, all of these things. They've situationally designed it. They'll make up problems that don't even exist, put it on the news, make sure that we're all saturated with it, and then make us fight each other so they can continue to do whatever they want to do, because we're all so distracted, right? I refuse to be a part of that. I'm going to get to know each person on an individual level that gets put in front of my face. And if I don't like you, I'll let you know. But chances are we're going to have common ground. And I think that that's like the most important part, is finding common ground with people. And the more we come together, which essentially, the more we get rid of, this is how everything has to be in our world, the more that we can come together and make room for each other, the more that we can. I mean, the Industrial Revolution happened, a little over 100 years ago, and a few things happened there. Number one, we started putting people in boxes. So we stopped doing community, right? We started living in little individual houses. The other thing is that generation that started when the Industrial Revolution started, that generation, was it the silent or the one above them? The greatest, whatever, is the first time that parents brought in kids and raised them indoors. And then those parents, that next set off, are the parents of the boomers. So our boomer generation now was the first young child generation that was our second one that was ever raised indoors, never ever had to deal with emotions. Their parents never did, because everybody was just outside trying not to get shot, bringing in food, gathering for whatever. So we put them in and never teach them any emotional regulation, never teach them any emotional immaturity or maturity, never teach them any emotional understanding. And then they raised the Gen X, which was the get a grip, bite your lip, save a little face generation, keeping up with the Joneses. Like, we got to keep up with the Joneses. We got to do that. And then that generation created the millennials, which is the one that I fall into. I'm an elder millennial, but we're the first generation that came around that said, no, we are going to talk about it. We are going to talk about it. We are going to go to therapy. We are going to work on this. And then we get mad at the boomers who were just raised to be doing exactly what they're doing. And it's ridiculous. All of this fighting between all of these generations because we don't understand. Well, have a fucking conversation with one of us. You know what I mean? I live with 2 boomers currently, and I have some of the best conversations of my life. But essentially, we brought them in. Like I said, that long ago, there was no teaching anybody emotional regulation. Well, now we have that. So it's like looking like a little bit, our world looks different, and they have to get smarter about how they keep us all apart.
Do you think we're like diving in, like making up problems that,
of course,
that don't need to exist? Like
5,000%.
Like depression, anxiety. Like I think it's always been a thing.
Yeah.
But like you said, we were all outside.
So the only reason why I say no to that is because you can also see like brain scans and chemical different things that can show when a brain has been affected by those things. So there's merit to it scientifically that it works. I also switching my major to social work and going for therapy, obviously I'm going to feel strongly about it. It's not so much that I think that we're just making up things and diagnosing and trying to be diagnosed happy, or
if we're searching for something, we're going to find something, right?
This is my theory about it is that if 1% of something equals out to 700 billion or 700 million people or something, that's a lot of people. So if enough people separately are saying something and then we give it a name, it's not that we're just naming everything and blah, 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 blah. It's that we're trying to understand it and research it. We just happen to be at the point of the most information available to us, most cross-referencing available to us, most people flying and going and meeting each other, that right now it's just going to be the next 60 years is going to be just so research driven as far as all of these different titles and different things that we're coming up with and theories and different mental illnesses. I think that there's merit to all of them. Do I think that people are like diagnosed happy? I'm sure. There's going to be a bad bunch in everything. You know what I mean? Like there's always going to be a bad bunch, but the overwhelming majority of people, it's like when all we ever had was white dudes on TV. And the first time you ever put like a woman or a person of color on, and then somebody in the audience gets to look and say, like the first time there was a woman doctor on a TV show. I can do that too. Representation matters. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I feel like we are bogging ourselves down and doing a disservice by being like, why do we got to come up with all these things? And why? Oh, everybody's now this. Oh, you identify as an orange. Oh, this, that, and the other. First of all, who cares? Let people live their lives. And second of all, I think that there's merit to it. Because we're learning, we're growing, and some of them might fall off, some of them might evolve, some of them might change, but essentially the heart behind it is to help people become more whole. And when you, like for me, Asperger's, once I started to get to read it, it was just like this eye-opening, amazing, like weight lifted off of my shoulders feeling. And I think that a lot of people feel that way when they see. So I think, like, obviously I think depression, anxiety, bipolar, ADHD, all of those things, I think that they are all very real. Do I think that the pills that accompany them that people are getting them pushed and shoved down their throats to make money? I also think that that's true too. I think that they live one and the same. Yeah. And that there's people out there trying to work on both ends of that deal. People that are trying to keep making money off of, pharmaceuticals, and I think that there's people that are trying to stop that you know?
Didn't Elon Musk have Asperger's? Or doesn't he?
He does, yes.
Yeah. Dang it, you're a genius.
I'll take it.
You're Elon Musk, basically.
Yeah.
I don't quite have his bank account yet, but as soon as I do.
Can you get me back on Twitter?
You're going to buy Facebook.
I'm going to, yeah.
So to segue into this open-mindedness that I don't think you always had, we talk about
the mindset.
The greenery.
The greenery.
The green and the...
Very pro
and
marijuana.
the Scylla.
Yeah, and the psilocybin.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure I'm stating that I am in the state of Texas and I would never smoke weed here, ever.
But you can, though.
Well, you can do Delta 8, and there's still a THC 9 now that you can get here at the stores. But so yes, marijuana for me was actually a big stepping stone into figuring out parts of who I was. I smoked for my first time at 28 years old, and threw up everywhere. Oh my God!
You smoked too much?
Bad. Oh yeah, it was great. And like immediately, like the next day, I was like, I'm doing that again. But it's the pathways that it opens up in your brain, and it's the expansion and the ability to, you know, men have boxes and women have
vaginas.
Men.
I don't know why I laughed at that.
Yeah. Did you say vaginas?
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of them.
Yeah.
That's
true.
That's true, John.
Good job. Good job. That's my favorite thing to do when a guy mansplains to me. I'm going to come back to that. But like when a guy mansplains, when they mansplain something to you and like they talk all condescending to you, they like tell you something that you already know. That's my favorite. Good job, John. That's exactly right. Good job, bud.
You need to do that.
It's like my favorite thing to do to them because they're like,
my son, we're teaching him their proper names of human anatomy.
I think it's amazing.
And he'll look at some random people sometimes and be like, "You got a vagina."
Good. Excellent. I think that's there's so many studies that will show that that's like a great way, and especially like because it's teaching them that their body's theirs. I will get back to your question. Like
good memory.
Anytime that I like interact with a child, I'll always ask permission to give them a hug, or if I'm holding a child and they want to be put down, it's their body.
Oh.
Why shouldn't we be sending them the message? I did
read something about that last week, actually.
It's a huge. This whole like grandparents come over. You got to give her a kiss.
Yeah.
No. Why? So all you're teaching them is that if the right authority tells them to do something, that they're going to sacrifice their comfort level, and I won't be a part of that for kids. So, but I think it's great that you give them the correct anatomy.
You like the Montessori way, huh?
I mean,
That's
I
pretty much.
definitely.
Did you go there?
No, but I definitely that or homeschooling. So.
Yeah, I just heard about that whole concept last weekend, and like what the process is and what the mind's like, the
and
ideology.
How they do it. Yeah,
it's so strange. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, it's almost like I like the kid pods these days that they're doing. It's almost like a version of that, just
where they put them in and each. Yeah. Okay, now I can't remember what it was that you had asked.
The green.
Yeah.
Oh,
open
greenery.
Up your mind.
So I had tried it, and that's when I started to learn more about like a universal love, which is so funny because it's like, oh, Bob Marley, one love. And I'm like, yeah, that's actually probably why. And then there's a guy named Dr. DeMartini. He's on the Kerwin Ray podcast, Unstoppable. And he has read over 100 different books in each ology. So like sociology, psychology, all those kind of things. And he talks about the one in the many theory. And that is like where we are all one in the many. Like we're all just having this experience. I'm experiencing it as a 35-year-old female. I don't know how old you are, but y'all are experiencing it as males, I think. Not trying to put that on you.
That's my permission.
And whatever your pronouns are, I'll respect. But so the one in the many theory, like it pretty much just showed weed was the first eye-opening experience to our connection, to us all truly being connected. Because we all say that we're connected, but we don't actually understand what that means. Like your first time experiencing like a real tragedy and going through that real heartache, we don't have to go through the same one to remember how that feels. So like you lose a parent and I get a divorce. They're two different types of emotional feelings, but we can understand the weight of them together. And so that was like the biggest experience for me, as well as I was able to eat, and I was 98 pounds. So that was a big deal for me. Just the way that it helped me interact with other people, calm down. The psilocybin though, which is mushrooms, if you don't know what that is, I never took it to like trip or anything like that. I did the microdosing trial. So for 6 weeks, you do like a microdose in the morning, and it elevates essentially just your happiness, and it teaches you how to be exactly present. Like you go to put on a seatbelt and all you think about is putting on the seatbelt. Whereas before I would have had like 90 thoughts about my day going through my head, and it just doesn't. And I was able to train my brain essentially. That's why the mindset stuff is so big to me. Train my brain how to think just the exact amount that I want, with the exception of if I'm like last night, nerves for this. So like I was up, you know what I mean? And just like running through things. But yeah.
You did this like on the, as you were coming out of depression, or you did that to come out of, help to come out of depression?
I was already on my way. I was already a few months into working on it myself actively. But I was more just taking it because it sounded like fun, and I had all the requirements for the trial. I didn't expect for it to be as like overwhelmingly good as it was. So
it's always for the better. One that I always remember is appreciating my arms. Like
really?
I sat, because you're really in the moment. Like you're like hyper in the moment to the point where it's like time is slow. But like just looking at my arms, and I was just
thinking about
how it's like they help me so much, right? Yeah. And like and my brain tells me how they work, but they're just always here to help me. So like that happened a long time ago, and but you retain what you've experienced,
correct,
rather than like a dream or something where you don't.
Yes.
So every once in a while I look down at my arms and like, I still appreciate you.
Yeah.
Like I still appreciate like what you do for me.
It's so, mine was colors. So like just looking up at like the grass and everything like that, but like you can still go throughout your day. Yours sounds a little bit more like trippy. Mine was never a trip as far as that goes. It was just an elevation.
It's just appreciation, like appreciation that's covered when you have 100 things going on.
And it uncovers like beauty. Mm-hmm. You find beauty in a lot of things that you normally wouldn't have necessarily before to the level that you do. Now, I'm not saying like everybody needs to run out and do all the thing. I actually believe that if I could go like up to Houston and meet with the guy and learn how to do the transcendental meditation, that actually is, from my understanding, like you would never have to get high, take an aspirin, Tylenol, anything ever again once you learn how to do it.
Is that like breath work stuff, or?
It's a mixture of breath work and a different like guided meditation that they teach you how to do. The CIA released that document about the gateway experience, and it's like one of the 3 things on how to like transcend to consciousness. And I've always been interested in it. I've just never bit the bullet and gone and done it yet, but I'll do it, and then I'll come back and talk to you guys.
Do you still practice with psilocybin at all? Do you still microdose?
We're in Texas.
That's okay.
So
I want to do it.
Yeah.
Where would one go if he wants to do it?
Places.
Okay. We'll talk after.
Okay. Do I still there's access to it here, not as much as there was there. It's pretty interesting, or it's pretty easy to make yourself.
That's scary though. Like if you could really fuck up and end up in a bad trip or something, could you?
You just get
microdose it.
See, I don't know.
So rather than just instead of like taking a whole bunch, you would just you would learn is my point. Like, but yeah, there's like a lot around here. You're going to find like chocolate bars and different things that have them in it. So because
people are doing microdosing to help with anxiety,
correct,
depression, and all
PTSD.
Yeah.
And we're talking like not help, not assist, not lessen,
like cure
coming out of it. Yeah. Like even like we think of PTSD and we think of like war veterans. And they are doing trials on them as well. But I mean, like all different forms of PTSD and everything like that. Like you're coming out completely changed. For a while, people were doing the ketamine treatments, but they were so expensive that a lot of people don't have access to them because of our wonderful healthcare.
I think edibles and psilocybin are very close to one another.
Yeah,
because
they're the earth.
Like emotionally, you get very aware of emotions. Like say we're in a situation right now and I can see like fear or anxiousness or happiness, and I can see them in the moment to where it's affecting my emotions.
Yes.
And I remember being on a phone call with someone I knew, and they were sad.
Yes.
And they were calling me, and I was happy at the time. And I got, normally you would just, try to console them, but you don't really put yourself in their situation. But you get this hyper awareness where like I started feeling like I was going through it too.
Yes.
And I started like hyperventilating.
100%. So it's psilocybin will elevate your
sensory,
emotional pattern recognition abilities. So a lot of times too, like men have incredibly different experiences on it because men, of course, are taught to not show their emotions. From a very young age, men are, two kids fall down and scrape their knee, and if one's a boy and one's a girl, you go up to the girl, you're like, let's get you cleaned up. Are you okay? What are you telling the boy? Walk it off, right? So men are not encouraged to not only have emotions, but they're definitely never shown how to deal with emotions, how to walk through emotions, how to express emotions, any of those things. And then ironically, y'all grow up and date us women, and the ones that choose to, and date us women. And then we say things like, I just don't feel like you're emotionally checked into this. And it's like, yeah, I was never taught. But my point is for men, thank you. For men though, their first few experiences are usually very emotionally, but you're so comfortable with it. You're not uncomfortable. It's actually, it's a thrilling experience, and it's very, cathartic and therapeutic that's the experience I've heard from men.
Were you trying to treat your depression with pills and like the pharmaceutical way?
I was trying to treat my depression with anything. Yes.
And that's why you kind of ventured off into.
No, I'm also, because I don't want to make it sound like I'm anti-depression medication, because I think for the right kind for the right people is extraordinarily important. No, it was more, I want to see what it can do. Once I researched the incredible presence of now that you experience and stuff, it just seemed interesting to me. Of course, part of me believed maybe this will be something that works out for me for my mental health, and it did. But originally it was like, I want to learn what it's like to be exactly in the present. So yeah,
it's a good way to do it.
Yeah, that's something I struggle with, being in the present. Yeah.
So the present moment is really hard for us to get into when you have a conflict of your, no offense to you.
No.
When you have a conflict of your identity. So when you are building the character of yourself and you're doing things or participating in activities or working or whatever, or doing something that's not 100% what you want to be doing, so you have to play a part for it. People tend to boggle their time with a bunch of other stuff too that keeps you actively away and disengaged in the present moment, because you're just trying to make it through to that next stage. And I'm not saying that's necessarily what you're experiencing. So it's like, that's going to keep you away from being present, because the stress that accompanies with it. Now, I'm not saying just go and quit your job or not try to figure out a way around it. Good. No, I mean, that's good. Like, that's not, there's more than one way to A and B. I mean, that's good that you are aware of it though, but it's, what are you doing with those thoughts now that you're aware of them? Are you fueling them? You have to be there right now. Yeah, so are you fueling them with negativity, or
I feel like that's why I try to work out, but then that high lasts like till noon. Or whatever, work out in the morning. Out, and then the thoughts come back after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The greatest thing about it that I found out though is that your thoughts are 100% managed and created by you. So when you start to navigate, it's called watching the thinker. It's in The Power of Now. So you think a thought, right? Well, something in there acknowledges that thought, like, that you thought it, right?
Yeah.
So that it's like two people. There's the you, that's you, that we all know. And then there's the you that lives inside you that is aware of this. Does that make sense? So Absolutely. It's almost like two people. So when you watch the thinker, essentially what you're doing is committing to yourself, which, as we said before, selfishness is not bad, and you are in a relationship with you. You deserve to do this. When you start to watch your thoughts. So something happens and your typical thought is, this is so annoying. I just cannot wait to leave. Okay. Sit a minute with that thought. And then eventually you could start training your brain on how to think different thoughts, on how to get it to go right instead of go left. Now, I'm not saying you're ever going to magically just be so in love with going to work. But when you structure your mind to where you're training it and it's not training you, and it's evident when your mind's training you, if you're continually doing the same thing over and over and over and over again unhappily, right. It's trained you. So when you realize, like, I actually am in charge of this machine or computer or brain or muscle or whatever's in there, however you want to view it, you actually can start saying, no, I'm gonna go ahead and take control of that. Then I'm gonna take that in a different way. I'm gonna shape my mind to look differently. Like, we say it all the time and never ever think about the depth of the statement. Oh, I changed my mind. I don't want to go there anymore. I don't want to go. It's because you literally changed your mind, the neural pathways that they're in your prefrontal cortex in the front. I'm pretty sure it's the prefrontal cortex. Somebody's going to be like, it's your amygdala and get mad at me later. Is like where your emotions, okay? So like an emotion, you feel an emotion. If you actually sit and let yourself feel through that emotion, that doesn't last longer than 90 seconds. It's when you start adding thoughts to the emotions that ruins your day. So if you're angry and you just let yourself be angry for 90 seconds, then your brain catches up and you can start thinking, processing in a different way. But if you're angry and then you just start thinking thoughts on more and more, that's where you're going to stay.
That's almost like training your mind to run like long distances. Like you sit with the pain, accept it, like ask yourself how you're doing. Like, am I doing okay? I'm doing good. I'm going to keep trucking. Yeah.
And it's funny that you said, so 75 hard was the biggest mindset shift for me. And it was in the 30s when I realized that it's so dumb, but it's going to sound so dumb, but it was like when I really realized, oh, I'm doing this because I think I'm worth it. You know what I mean? Like I think that I'm worth this opportunity. This is all mindset from here because I just have to keep showing up for me. And why am I not worth it? It's like, why would you eat cereal at the end of the night? You're worth making yourself a meal for. Just don't be lazy. Well, I don't want to use the word lazy because it has a negative connotation that I don't necessarily agree with. But for your mindset, it's about, so day 30 something or other, I was arguing with Kenny that day. We were in a bad
Everyone argues with Kenny.
I can imagine y'all argue because y'all kind of think the same.
It is so think the same, except for on every hot topic, hot button issue, we think completely different. It's great. I love it. I love Kenny. So we, although you think he's the, have you ever met his wife?
He
Mandy?
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, if she told me tomorrow, like, you're going to go do this, I'd be like, yes, ma'am. Like, she is the most convincing, like, woman. She will get your, because she's just like, there's no bullshit with Mandy. She's just like, well, you have to do it. So go do it. And
maybe she's working the strings. We never knew.
Yeah.
Kenny's just a puppet, right?
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
That's what she said.
No, I was just saying that Mandy also is good for that too. But so we were in an argument or whatever, and I was just done. I didn't care. I didn't worked out before this. I just started it just to see what I could do. You know what I mean? I did not care. I was done. I was going to drive to Elmo's, which is like this like hamburger joint. I was going to ruin it all, get a soda, be done. And I'm like driving and I just thought to myself, okay, well, if the lights are on at the track, I'll get out and work out instead. I'll do my second workout. The lights were off. And I was like,
you knew they were going to be off.
Yeah.
They're off. And I was like, oh.
Oh, darn.
Yeah. And I'm like driving. And then I remember driving and sitting there and thinking to myself, well, are you doing this for Kenny or are you doing this for yourself? And I know that sounds weird, but I was just like, so out of spite for Kenny, you're going to not show up for yourself? Like, that seems kind of stupid, right? And I'm talking like it was freezing. It was literally like 31 degrees outside. And I like literally had to still do an outdoor workout because one of them has to be outdoors, right? And I am outside in the freezing cold. I literally put a sock on one hand because I only had one glove in my car and like finished my stupid freaking workout. But that was like that was the day that it really connected for me that self-worth, like that this is a mindset. Everything about Kenny though is mindset though. Like he's going to challenge, as much and all as he would tell you that I challenge he challenges mine. I mean, he's the very first person in all 35 years of my life. And I don't say this in a egotistical way, but I really never met my match as far as challenges goes. I don't mean romantically, obviously, but like I really never have. I've always been able to just kind of figure it out, succeed, do whatever I needed to do. Then I met Kenny. And like, I remember one time I had created this business proposal for Chris Rogowski. And like an idiot, I told him. And 3 days later, he gave her a business proposal quite similar to mine, but better. And I was like, at first I was like, this motherfucker.
That's some Del Frankham shit right there. Right?
But then I thought to myself, oh, you've done it. This is it. You finally, like, you're going to actually, for the first time in your life, have to work harder than somebody if you want to be better than them. And so I told him, I'm choosing to be inspired by this and not mad at you. To be clear, I pass you up someday, but you've had different life has handed us different experiences. I will beat you someday. Today's not the day. Today I'm your fan and follower, but someday, although I'll be his fan forever, but yeah, he'll always have my vote
It sounds like some shit I tell John.
Everyone loves, like, Kenny has this presence that I can't imagine being around it every day. What it does, like, it's a positive. Yeah, it's intense.
Okay. I was like, that's my friend. What are you saying? But you're meaning the good way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if you're having like a fuck off day, and he's pushing you, you probably don't want that type of person around you.
He's always that person that's gonna be like, well, no, you're not gonna skip this, or you're not gonna eat that. Like my family tells me I'm that person, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, there's levels, right? There's me, and then there's Kenny is like 10 levels up.
Oh,
like, I can always count if I'm feeling like I'm gonna slack off.
You'll just call him?
Well, no. I'll just look at Kenny's feed, or I'll look at Del Francom's feed, or
he's like so good at it too. And he's like, and it's very rare that you see him out of it. I mean, I definitely have. I work with him all the time, so I'm saying like I've definitely seen him on a down day or like whatever. But he's still so masterful about how he keeps it as his problem and not make it everybody else's problem. And he really is okay with asking for what he needs to process through information. Like, he's really, really good at it. Don't get me wrong. Like, if I wanted to roast him, I gotcha. But I'm just like, I'm waiting for the day that we have like our own office roast of Kenny. I'll make sure to invite you guys. But
he would love that more than y'all would. I
think he'd cry.
He likes it
but
a little bit.
No, he's so smart. But he's his only issue, like, he's a visionary, that guy, and that's why we work well together, because I'm not. Like, I'm an experience driven person, but I can make an experience out of everything. He's a visionary, and I'm more of a like, let's keep you on track. Like, that's kind of my goal there, is just to keep his mindset correct and him motivated and him on time to things and all of that kind of stuff. So that's the big push there. But he's good to be around. I like him.
He's got that aura that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got to be pretty inspirational to be around every day.
Well, honestly, I think that I'm the inspirational one, to be honest, in that duo. No, I'm just kidding. No, but we don't always talk inspiration. There is that element to it, but it's not always that way. He's the one that's always like, okay, so this is the mood we're going to be in today. So it just depends on and then he's always, I can be him today.
One.
Did he not do this the whole entire time y'all talked?
Did he?
I don't think so. Can he talk like him?
No.
Can he give me some phrases?
No.
Nothing.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah, give me some phrases.
His number one phrase?
Yeah.
Why are you the way that you
are? We heard that one. What are some voices you can do? Like,
no, I can't. It's so hard for me to do them. Just so, like, I have to be.
Well, the baby. I imagine with the baby you can do Rugrats. Like Tommy.
I'd have to hear it. I don't know.
Tommy sounds like.
What about like The Simpsons? Can you do any Simpsons?
Like popular characters. Like
I wasn't allowed
Family
to watch
Guy?
that. That was the devil growing
up. Oh shit.
Family Guy?
No, I watched. What's the one with the robot Bender?
Oh,
Futurama. That's the only one. I'm not like a cartoon kind of gal. If you haven't figured it out, more of a documentary kind of.
He's kind of good at voices sometimes.
Ones? I can do Britney Spears or Shakira.
When you were talking about like how Asperger's was, I was like, man, I wonder if I have.
I was wondering if you have Asperger's.
Because I can kind of.
Yeah.
I start emulating people a lot. Like if I.
So I love that. Whenever I say something about it, people are like, oh my God, maybe.
I know. I was like, shit, maybe I got it.
My initial assessment, both based off of my social work background and everything.
It was like, a little bit.
No, because you can hold eye contact. And that's not typical for men. But that's my only indicator as of right now. I haven't spent enough time with you.
You keep eye contact?
It's for men. It's just different.
Oh, it's just for men.
Yeah. I didn't say it's just for men. I said it's just more typical.
Like the shampoo?
Yes. I thought that was like sorry, I'm very big on words if you haven't figured it out. I have to be very precise.
What is it when someone gets obsessed with something? I get like really obsessed.
Like obsessive compulsive about something? Or you mean obsessed about like, you mean like cleaning? Tell me, I guess I could.
I'm not really a clean freak, but like if I hear something that I like, I become obsessed and I want to implement it in my life a lot. And I'm willing to try something, like if I think I'm gonna like it, then I'll never do it again.
And he idolizes people.
I idolize people like Joe Rogan. I love Joe Rogan. I want to be like Joe Rogan.
Like not just I like Joe Rogan. Like I like Joe Rogan, but he wants to be Joe Rogan. Oh. What's up with that?
That's not just want to be like like Kenny. I love when Kenny posts something.
Yeah.
I like watching all of it, and I like all right, I'm gonna do this. He's doing it that way.
What stops you?
What do you mean?
Why don't you do it?
I try to.
Well, what does try look like to you?
He does do shit.
I do it in my garage. I don't I do everything like workout wise, like in my garage. Or if someone's talking about diet, I'm going to try that diet. And if I like it, I'm going to stick with it. And I don't deviate from it.
So you're going to try the diet, and if you don't like it, I'm not going to stick with it. Well, that's fickle. I mean, how are you ever going to know a long-term longevity of what you're capable of?
If I do like it, I am going to stick with it.
But if you don't like it and it's good for you, you know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Because I'm saying like your word was try. You want to try to do all of these different things, and I'm trying to get down to the like nuts and bolts of why the word is try and why your mindset's not. Even if this isn't what I want when I'm finished, I'm going to finish it.
I guess I there's not a finish in my head. Like I'm doing an animal-based diet right now, and I'm watching all these carnivores and animal, and I like to implement a piece from what they're doing.
Got it. What's your ultimate goal? If you weren't working where you're working now, what do you want to be doing?
This.
Podcasting.
Yeah.
Only.
Probably.
Oh.
Yeah. We got into videography, and I tried to get into it. I don't want to do it. Like, I got into it, bought a fucking camera.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
That is a true thing.
How many things like that would you say you did? How many of those would you say that you've experienced where you thought you wanted something, so you try it and then you don't like it?
I want to do something because, but even like the videography work, I was hesitant. I was like, I don't want to do it. But Mike would try to push me into it. My wife is in photography. Yeah. So I was like, all right, everyone's getting fucking cameras. I'm going to get a camera and I'm going to try it. Didn't like it.
Cool. So I heard everyone, Mike, my wife. I did not hear your excitement about it.
Oh no, I don't like it. So I don't do it. I don't want to do it.
That's my point is that if it's not a hell yes, just let it be a hell no until. Have you ever read the book Strength Finders 2.0?
No.
Essentially the idea.
I have too many books right now. I need to put it on the list.
Okay.
A lot of fucking books.
Essentially the idea is to let your weaknesses go and focus on your strengths, and then just like continue to grow those is what the premise of the book is at a very nutshelled version.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're finding what makes you fulfilled in life, then you have to wrap around your brain around the parts of your life that tell you that that's not what you can have, because those are going to be the identities that aren't your identity. If it's conflicting, if something is conflicting inside of you, one side of the identity is not real.
It just doesn't feel like if you're doing something, like when I'm videoing something, I don't feel it. I'm like, this is fucking stupid.
Maybe you feel it when you're editing, or this is like, if this is what you want to do, then do the backwards math and make it work.
Yeah, like working out or something.
There's many things you can do.
I think we got onto this because I get like super obsessed, and then I want to push what I like onto other people too.
Yeah, well, it's very evangelical of you. So
is that a bad thing?
No.
What syndrome do I have?
Okay, we'd have to talk.
He's got to know. You do want to know.
We'd have to talk a lot longer.
It's something.
You should let me send you the mindset assessment stuff.
I think going back to like psilocybin and stuff.
Yeah.
He needs to do like some self-discovery.
Right. Well, essentially that's what I'm trying to say too, without being too overwhelming or overbearing about it. But it's like, I'm not saying that you don't have an identity of self. I'm just saying that I think that you allowed other educators to make some of those identities something that doesn't actually match up with who you want to be. Yeah. We all do that, to be clear. Like, it's not like whatever. And I think that as long as, if you'll allow yourself the time with yourself to kind of like look at them one by one, which is why I think that the marijuana and stuff like that helps. It helps you to kind of like go through it. Not necessary. You can do a lot of work without it. Yeah. I was just touching back on that for you, but
I'm afraid of doing that. Yeah. I want to. I was going to try it last. I've never smoked marijuana ever.
Yeah.
I'm afraid I'll get obsessed with it and just go off the deep end with it.
Go off the deep end and like what, eat too many Cheetos? Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I just won't be a big pothead or something.
It's amazing to be. I mean, like, alcohol is legal, and it's.
I don't drink alcohol.
But I'm just saying, like, all the deaths and all the drunk driving and all of this and all of that, and like weed is like, hey, nobody wants to shoot anybody when you're smoking weed. Like, you just want to eat. Chips.
I feel like it wasn't addicting. It's like sometimes I like in the past, I would do it and then I didn't want to do it again for a long time.
Yeah.
But I think you like doing it all the time.
Yeah, I haven't had that experience.
It goes back to like, if I like something, I want to keep doing it.
Okay, and if it helps you.
Yeah. I don't have a switch. Right. It's either like a switch is on or off.
You've told yourself that, but then if we were to dig in, we'd see where that's not 100% accurate.
I could control the switch.
Well, it's just that because I used to say I'm a switch person too, but it's just not true. You're not just a switch person. You just told yourself that. And then that allows you to have the excuse of, well, I'm kind of over it now, so I don't have to be into it. Off. Rather
well, it's
than,
like with alcohol. Like if I'm around alcohol, I can, if I allow myself to drink alcohol, it's fucking going all out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just felt like it's either all or nothing.
I'm not saying that
you
everything.
did that the other day and you controlled it.
What's that?
You did it the other day and you controlled it.
Yeah, I was throwing out alcohol.
Good. See, there you go. So I'm saying like it's about learning how to navigate your mind and set it up to like to make your optimum self.
Is it bad to like want to implement someone else's beliefs though? Like if you think, oh yeah, these people are successful, I want to.
So let's break down the word bad, because I can go in many directions. That I could be like, sure, if you do it this way, or no, if you do it this way. I don't know enough about how you process information to know which one's going to be beneficial for you, but essentially all we all ever are doing is taking other people's thoughts and applying them to our lives.
Right, yeah,
so it's
I'll be honest. He says that he's like, you bring these, but he's different people too.
Yeah.
He's not like Mike original.
Right.
I don't think that's not what I meant. So like I sample from everybody too, but sometimes I have some introspection and I think about what I want.
Yeah.
Which I think you do too.
Well, that's the point of reading
giving
books
you some
too,
shit.
and like learning some research and all of that kind of stuff. It's like what you can try on all the hats, but when one fits and you adopt it into your identity, it's easier to move through life. When somebody gives you a hat and it looks nice on you, you don't particularly like it. It's not as fun to go out, right?
Right.
So it's essentially figuring out which parts of you are really truly the parts that you like and identify with, and which parts need change. And you had mentioned the word fear earlier. Like it's like, I think a lot of people are afraid to do the work.
Right.
But the alternative is all of the hard, miserable work that you're already doing to keep up the character.
Yeah.
It's all hard.
Right.
It's going to be hard no matter what you do. Like you might as well choose the hard that's going to end up giving you the most fulfillment.
Exactly.
Is my theory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I had to develop one, I guess. And it's worth it. I can honestly, truly, with my whole heart, tell you that it's worth it. And it's like, because you have the power to change at any time. If there's something I don't like about myself or something that gets uncovered, or if I get new information and I don't like it anymore, I can change it.
Right.
It doesn't have to be who I am. Who you think of me, like that quote says, is really none of my business, because you only have this much of the picture.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't matter. I can't go through my whole life wondering what you're going to think of it. Now, there's certain people whose thoughts matter to me, but ultimately, I think that you should be setting yourself up to where you have learned how to trust your own voice, and you have learned how to process information, and you've learned how to research and know what's for you.
Right.
Because when you know what's for you and you know what's not for you, you can go through life with much more compassion. Because if I know you're not for me, I don't have to be mean to you. Like, I still want you to eat, just not at my table. You know, like it's just not. That's Tupac. I'm pretty sure that said that one.
You have a good memory for a stoner.
Thanks. That's Asperger's.
You're pulling
Asperger's have it's called superior pattern recognition abilities.
Yeah.
And mine is up there, and I'm not just saying, well, whatever. Think I'm bragging. I don't care. But I'm saying like that's how I'm able to tell.
Are you able to
people.
like memorize words and like lyrics and sentences? I have a photographic memory of words. So another thing is I can read something once and pretty much memorize it.
Okay.
By reading it once. Like almost not really like a photographic memory, like not a picture.
So almost a cool thing to have, but not quite.
Well, you said like you memorize dates and stuff like I did too.
Yeah. No, I meant like it's patterns too. So it's not, my brain doesn't just hear the lyric, it hears the melodic pattern with it, as well as the beat, and there's like so many things that connected into a memory for me. But it's also, for me though, more than that, my Aspie talent, because everybody always thinks that autistic people have like their one, is superior pattern recognition abilities in people. And I can meet tons of different people and remember one person told me this and led into this timeline, and now I can help you because of that and that and the other, and just how people's behaviors are, how you sit, how you present yourself, how you look. I've watched enough of them to learn like how and why people behave what they are. It's always been the only, since I was a kid, man, main interesting topic to me was, why are people the way that they are? Why are we like that? Which involves a lot of introspection too, because I of course I want to figure out why I am the way that I am, to better understand why people are the way that they are. But ultimately, once I figured out, well, whatever, it's their story. it's just so much easier to get along with people. Just so much easier to be like, yeah, no, I love that for you. My friend Alyssa, I don't know if y'all know her. She also does I tell her all the time, man, I love that for you. And she's like, that's my favorite thing you say. Cause I know, she goes,
it sounds condescending.
Because she goes, that's exactly what she said. She goes, but I know that you mean it. And it's true. Listen, I don't run.
Just like Kenny.
I'm not going to run. No, I don't run. Eat the whole 75 hard. No, but y'all did Grit Ultra. I genuinely love that for you. I'm just not going to do that. Like, I'm just not going to do it.
And I believe you.
And it's true though. Like I really, whatever makes anybody like, but the other thing about that too is that I don't have to then, whereas before I would attach myself to their emotions and feel them as well. Now I've learned how to separate the two, and I can care for you and not have to adopt your mopiness and not have to adopt any of those things into my own personal being. And that's, for me, the best way to show compassion is for you to be able to, the best compliment I could ever get from somebody is I feel safe to be around you. You make me feel safe to be myself. And the only way that I can think of to do that is to let people just be themselves. Don't monitor their behavior. Don't tell them what you need. Don't tell them, well, you can tell them what you need. Like you're still allowed to have boundaries for yourself as a person, but I don't monitor you and tell you how to think or behave or act or anything. You get to represent yourself and I just get to respond to you. I'm responsible for that, you know?
Yeah. I think I do that with John.
You tired? We boring you?
No, I think I tell him project too much shit onto him.
Oh.
Yeah, Mike's he's a big projector.
You're a projector?
I'm called a pusher.
Oh.
I push shit.
And then he gets mad if you don't adopt what he wants.
I don't get mad.
What do you get?
I get mad when he doesn't try.
No, he gets
But he's
mad.
a trier. Remember?
So
he's not a doer. He's a trier.
No, he doesn't try. Our big story was I have a hoverboard.
Yeah.
And I just wanted him to try it once, and he blew a gasket.
But he got mad, but he didn't realize that Mike thinks that my life began when I met him.
Oh,
and that's it.
Oh,
he doesn't realize I have
you've had other experiences that you
Can
might
I lay down sideways?
Yeah.
He doesn't understand that. Like he doesn't get no, I've already I've
He didn't say that. So.
I shouldn't have to though.
You guys, do we need a break? Do y'all need a hug?
I shouldn't have to though.
I don't want to hug him.
First of all, listen, this is not couples counseling.
Should I have to? No, you're the counselor. Should I have to say that, or can I just say no? I don't want to try it.
Well, 100%. You can say no. I don't want to try it.
We need the final answer.
But if he's a pusher and he's going to keep pushing you, you're better off to not. Your response is just not get upset and be like, "I said no."
I did. He got he got mad, and then he started getting into the.
But what does that have to do with you?
Nothing.
Let him be mad.
And then I got him on the ground in a headlock.
Yeah,
and he tapped out.
Well, okay.
No, he tapped out.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Have you all ever leg wrestled?
No, I was gonna have y'all do it.
Have you seen us on the video?
If you can beat John.
Okay.
You want to try it?
Because that would destroy him. If you won.
I could destroy you.
No.
Guaranteed.
I got leverage.
There's a technique, and if you already know it, then I'm fucked.
Yeah, that's it. So we won't do it. But yeah,
I've never seen that.
Have you seen the video?
Before your video.
Did you see the video? Yeah, that was like
my cousin
I try to leg
Danny,
wrestle everybody.
My cousin Danny got the technique going. You want to fuck with him?
Yeah,
he's strong.
There's a certain place. There's a certain place that as long as you get it, the exact place on that person's leg, I don't care. I mean, there of course, but guaranteed, if I get you in that exact spot, you're going over. There's a guarantee.
Have you done? We used to call it Mexican finger wrestling, but it's just called finger wrestling.
There's so much I want to.
So like you,
dive into
that's what she said.
Yeah. You hold out your hand and you interlock your. Have you done that? I'll fuck you up there.
Okay, I'm not gonna try.
Okay.
Men have better grip strength.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Why would I?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You have better leg strength.
Correct. That's why I asked if y'all wanted a leg. See how I like.
You think your legs are stronger than John's?
Not like strength wise, but
so if the hand, it's a technique. It should have just.
Well, there's certain like things girls can do with they're stronger.
Like put their head on a wall and pick up a chair.
All those things, yeah. To be clear though, I did play ice hockey growing up, and like a bunch of different. Like I could get my legs back there. They're just not now.
And you're from where?
Originally my mom, but then I was birthed in California.
You threw me off for a second.
That was good. I like how confident you asked. Yeah. I got to catch up.
Yeah.
I was
pretty quick.
Good job. Birthed in California. And then but October 2020 to October 2021, I lived in 5 different states. So I've moved around quite a bit, but.
So real quick, how did you get here, Missouri County? How did you start working with Grit?
Those are two different stories, and I will wrap them up quickly. My best friend lives here. She just had a baby, and I didn't want to miss out on that experience. So I moved down here for that, to be with the kids and to wait for the new one to get here. He just arrived 2 months ago, little Elliot Rain. He's adorable. He's so cute. So cute. And then at Grit, Kenny's parents own a coffee house in West Columbia, and
421.
Yeah, 421. Yeah, and they had needed some help. I get paid to go to school. So I wasn't working at the time. For the first time in my life, I was taking a break off of work, and they just needed some help, like washing some dishes, making some coffee. And I was like, sure, yeah, I'll come help. Like, that's fine. Just literally in the back, washing dishes all day long at 35. Like, it was fine. No big deal. And not that there's anything wrong with that. Don't come at me. And I was talking to his mom, because the very first conversation I ever had with Kenny was at his sister's wedding. And we were talking about God and atheism. And the last thing he said to me before leaving was, well, you're just wrong, but that's okay.
That's kidding.
And I was like, oh, well, cool. And then flash forward now, 6 years later, because I had lived here before. Anyway, all this is to say, I was talking to his mom in the back, and I was like, oh, why don't you guys do this, and that, or this, that, and that? And she's like, wait, how do you know about all that? I was like, oh, well, I have a real resume. Like, I have a background and stuff, you know? She's like, you need to talk to Kenny. And I said, okay. And so then I remember Kenny will tell you this. He will tell you this. His mom goes to tell him, like, oh, you need to talk to, and he's like, Kayla Moulthrop? Kayla? Like, what? Like, he in his mind could not believe that there was a brain in here. Like, he really, which you got to understand, he met me when I was in the worst of the worst. Like, I was just coming out of religion. I was running around town. I mean, I was every 10 ways from sideways in my brain. Like, it was messed. There was no mental health stability in any way, shape, or form when he first met me 6 or 7 years ago. So I totally get him being like, Kayla. And then we went and we sat down and we had the conversation. And the whole entire time, he's just like, what? Like, who are you? And he's like, hey, well, give me like a week to think about it. And I was like, no. Like, I know what I'm working. Like, no. Like, I know what my brain. The very next day, he's like, all right, let's do this. And so then that's how I ended up there. And then I started like in sales. Then I went to like a whole bunch of different other things. Now I do like member relations, and then like his assistant pretty much is what it comes down to. So
that's cool.
I like it.
It's an awesome journey.
It's Texas is different, but we're making the best of it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, we greatly appreciate you coming on. We had fun.
Yeah,
this was a really fun conversation. Okay, so how can people follow you on social media and the funny TikToks and all the good stuff?
So TikTok is my bigger following. It's fun, funny, and that is Loud Daisy, LOUDDAZEE. Loud because when you smoke marijuana, people say you smell loud. And Daze because you're dazed, and Daisy because of the flower. So Loud Daisy, LOUDDAZEE. And then on Instagram, I'm kaylakm, my initials.
kaylakm. Well, we had fun. Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
Love, 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 love.
Same.
Bye.